What is going on, everyone? We are live. If you are part of the rewatch crew, hello. I actually fixed my camera, so very excited about that. I'm trying to get used to this still, so bear with me, guys. This is something that's new. The point of doing all of this live streaming is for you guys to come in and ask me questions about real estate investing and all those good things. So today we're going to focus on lead generation. I kind of want to touch base with you guys on also my crazy story about my contractor. So if you guys don't know, I have two projects going on right now. One of them we just completed today. Literally today. We just got approval for the final draw that came today, and I've been fighting with my contractor for the last um, 4 weeks. So yeah, that's what's been going on. So if you guys just jumped on, I have two projects currently that is going on, and so I've been back and forth with my contractor a lot. On Monday, if you guys saw my Instagram, I yelled at him pretty good. Not like I kind of wrote in my Instagram that I cussed him out, but like I didn't like say nasty words to him necessarily. I just was not very nice with the cursey words. But luckily we did finish. We got the final approval for the draw today. The second property, I just got pictures. So now he's sending me pictures every single night. And this goes along with my Airbnbs that I have. I have 13 Airbnbs where my cleaner, after every single turn, she sends me a full video of all of it. And I've been asking for stuff from my contractor. If he's on here, I'm going to laugh. But um, I've been getting pictures now from my contractor. So like at 7:30, just like 30 minutes ago, he sent me pictures of what they did every single day. So if you guys are just getting started in this, I think this is a good learning lesson for everybody. So I have two things. I have the Facebook user asked, I'm sorry, I don't have your name on here. Is this all Airbnb or is this flipping? So I have 13 units for Airbnb that I do rental arbitrage on. And then I also have Stephen, thank you. And then I also have two properties that I own that I'm currently using the Burr method on. This whole series will be completely about real estate, the Burr method, creative financing strategies. I'm not going to go too heavily into Airbnb. I might use it as a strategy and kind of talk about Airbnbs and like what I'm going through in Airbnb. But this is really about finding wholesale deals, finding fix and flips, finding using my own experience. I've been doing this for 7 years. Well, so I started when I was 25 years old. I then did flipping, wholesaling and flipping. And then I kind of took a break for 2 years. I have Airbnbs and then went back to actual real estate where I own the property. I had a situation with a contractor, like I was kind of just talking about, where it was just, I've been going, and this is across the board with all contractors. There's no, we can be talking about apartments. I'm actually doing I'm sorry if I'm distracted by the comments. I don't want to get too distracted. I want to make sure that we stay on topic here, but I do want to answer your questions at the same time. So I am actually going to a project management, um, a property management place we're going to be doing calling sellers on Thursday. So that's happening on Thursday. We will be calling off market leads through, if you guys have heard of CoStar. CoStar is where you pay $500 a month, and basically you can find off market stuff. So I will be going to a property management um, I have one of my Airbnb's property management. We've been linking up and kind of doing calling for big multifamily apartment complexes. So there's gonna be everything on this channel. I want to start with lead generation, and then I want to go to I would like to do private money next week. I might change it to something else. I want to do where we can actually potentially call sellers. I know we can't do that 8 o'clock my time, because I don't think anybody wants to get a phone call at 8 o'clock asking to solve their problem at 8 o'clock at night. I know that if I got a phone call, I probably would just deny it. So we're going to do lead generation, calling sellers, going through the list of items, running the numbers. You guys can bring your deals in if you want to. You don't, basically, you just give me the numbers. You don't say the address. You don't say where it's at. None of that. We just run through the numbers. We're going to do comping. We're going to do everything. So it's going to be Monday and Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That way we can all be in one spot. There will be sometimes, I was looking at my schedule, that I will be traveling, but I will work around that. I'm going to be gone for almost 22 days, but it's a working trip for me. So I will still bring all my equipment, and we will still go through a whole series of stuff. So, had a crazy time with my contractor. We have gotten through, hopefully, the worst of it, I'm hoping. And this is a good learning lesson for all you guys who want to do any type of flipping, any type of real estate contractors. It doesn't matter if you have a good one or a bad one. They do work on their own schedule a lot of the time. And sometimes it's not the way you really want it to go. This contractor is probably the best that I've had ever in my whole entire career that I've been doing this. The last contractor was horrendous compared to this contractor. So it really just, contractors are contractors, and you just kind of, they're always over budget, and they are never on time. Okay. So if you guys find a contractor that is on budget and on time, please send them my way. If they live in Texas, by all means, I would use them. However, I will say that that is a very rare case. I've seen maybe one or two. One of my property management companies, they use a contractor and they really like him. But then you have contractors that, they take there's so many factors when it comes to contracting. We're going to go through all of that, just not today. I just had a crazy scenario. That's awesome. My father is a contractor, but he's in South Carolina. I wish he was here in Texas, because but there's always slowdown with projects, right? There's always something that happens. There's always, maybe they open a wall and it's something they weren't expecting something. And now, like, for instance, with this one, we have a single family house, and this project went over about 5,000, which is not a lot, because I've been over like $20,000 before. So 5,000 was just like extra cabinets, some labor. We had to put in a washer dryer, stuff that we didn't, and then insulation. So we're not over as much, but money is money, and we still have to come up with the money. We are in the process of a refinance, so we are doing a BRRRR strategy. And when I say we, I have a business partner. So that process has started. We just got disclosures today to sign, and then so we are doing the BRRRR method, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So the goal is to get at least 25 to 30,000 out of this project, and then we will eventually go and that 25,000, we would just repeat the method, basically, is keep going with that. I have a 3 unit where we would like to get anywhere between 50 to 60 when we ran the numbers on that one. So that is $50 to $60,000 on that one, to go and do it. Now, what I have learned throughout this whole process, and then we're going to jump right into the lead generation. What I've learned throughout the whole BRRRR method is that this next one probably will do in August or September for the BRRRR method. In the meantime, I'll probably do some wholesale deals. But in August, September, I am looking at a apartment complex to flip, but I would use none of my own money this time. I would use somebody else's, and then they would get paid when we go and refinance the property. So that's how I would do it. And to leverage, even if you do have the money, I think it will strap you. If you want to do multiple deals at once, it kind of straps you to limit the number of deals that you have. So if I've learned anything throughout this whole process, is that I would use private money just to be able to do more at one time, and just so it's not strapping my cash every single month. So hopefully you guys got a couple takeaways there about the BRRRR method, what I'm going through currently. It's been a good, like, out of all things, to be honest with you, it wasn't completely terrible. We've had a good contractor. The last 4 weeks have kind of been down to the wire, and we've all been stressed out. So it's good that we finally got some news today that we got the final approval for the draw. So that's happening. So the draw will happen. And then on the back end, we are refinancing the property. And then now we just have to get a tenant, which I've had 2 tenants, but because the half bath hasn't been completed, they haven't been wanting to actually go. Haven't signed a contract because we haven't had the half bath. We added a half bath to the property, so now that the half bath is done, it's going to be easier to rent. So now a lot of you guys are probably wondering how to get started. How do I lead generate? How am I going to do wholesaling? Am I going to do fix and flip? Am I going to do buy and hold? Like, where do I start? And a lot of that has to do with your investor ID. And what we call an investor ID is something that you want to start with. When I first got started, I started out fixing and flipping. Now, what's the difference between the wholesaler and somebody who does fix and flip versus the fix and flipper and the buy and hold? And to be honest with you guys, it's not the money. People think it's the money. It has nothing to do with the money, and it has everything to do with the actual understanding of how to do real estate. It's the knowledge. And that's where I think, I always say, and I almost feel like I should print this on a shirt somewhere, where I should say, if it's a good deal, somebody will invest into it. And so when I first got started, I had somebody who invested $10,000, and that's on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to go watch it, it's the first video of how I got started in this business. So if you guys are interested in that, I actually flipped a mobile home, was my first deal that I ever did. But I'm no different than anybody else. I just have a little bit more knowledge and experience than maybe anybody who is getting started. So tonight, I'm going to talk about the lead generation sources of exactly kind of where you can generate leads. Now, if I was doing wholesaling, for instance, I would start with buyers, not necessarily sellers, contrary to what a lot of people believe. I believe that if you go and put a property under contract and you can't flip it to somebody, you will lose the contract, and you could potentially you can potentially lose earnest money. Now, what is earnest money? A lot of people call it EMD. Some people call it earnest money. In Texas, for some reason, they call it earnest money. In California, they call it EMD. It's basically anywhere between, it could be $500, it could be $1, it could be, 50,000, depending on how big the deals are, obviously. Um, the earnest money is when you go through the title escrow process. It's for how serious you are as the investor, the buyer that is going to buy the property. So um, that's why I always believe that you should find the buyer before you find the seller. All right. So, however, we're not going to go through buyers today. We're just going to go through how to find the seller. Sorry. And so I made this nice board yesterday. If you guys didn't watch yesterday, I want to go through a little bit of this board from what we talked about yesterday. So just a quick recap of kind of what we went through. The first one is direct to seller. We're going to talk about cold calling. And we're actually going to go a little bit more into depth with cold calling today, and kind of how I do it and the numbers behind cold calling, because I think a lot of people get really discouraged with cold calling, where cold calling, you can actually, it's just about the numbers. What they always say, what you lack in skill set, you have to make up in numbers. So you have to go the extra mile with the numbers, because you don't necessarily know what to say to that seller. So like, for instance, if I go and talk to a seller, I might know and have the confidence to go and talk to that seller, where if you're brand new, you're not quite there yet in understanding what to say to that seller. So we're going to go a little bit through that later on, so I don't want to touch on it too much. Direct to wholesaler, I was talking about how if you find a good wholesaler, in my 7 years I've been doing this, I have only found one good wholesaler, and it's actually a company. So doing wholesaling, direct to wholesaler, is completely different than just going out and cold calling. If you find a good wholesaler, to be honest with you guys, that could be your entire business, and where you just get a good wholesaler and they feed you deals. I've just never had that person, because typically wholesalers are brand new people in the business and they don't know how to run the numbers, and they leave out a lot of different costs that are associated with wholesaling. So I mean, like, if you're doing fix and flip, or if you're doing buy and holds, a lot of people just don't know how to run the numbers because they're brand new. We talked about probate attorneys, HOA attorneys, transaction coordinators. I went through the scenario of that my cleaner found, I would say, 90% of my Airbnbs, because she cleaned for other Airbnb hosts. And so she was able to find more people that wanted to, more like, she knew all the property management companies essentially. And so if you know transaction coordinators, that's very similar. They maybe work with a lot of investors that know where the deals are at. So transaction coordinators, do not count them out, because they could do a lot for you. Investor friendly agents, that's another one I want to touch on later. I don't want to get too much into it right now, but investor friendly agents are a very rare breed. And that's why I named my whole entire YouTube channel. I've been kind of rebranding my YouTube channel to be more unicorn. And it's mainly talk about becoming a unicorn agent and becoming more of from an individual to an actual investor. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. HOA managers, there's a lot of people that don't know that HOA, they know everything. Everything that goes on in that association, they know whose grandma passed away. They know everything. Let me tell you, because my uncle is an HOA manager. He used to be. He's not anymore. And they know everything about everybody, because if something happens in the HOA, they are pretty much the first people to know. So if you didn't see my video, my live stream from yesterday, I'm going through these fast because I talked about them yesterday, so I don't want to spend too much time on them. Direct to divorce attorney, that also goes with direct to the probate attorney, direct to an HOA attorney. Any time where someone is having some type of hardship in their life, that is really where the real estate becomes a deal. For instance, if someone passes away and the kids take it over, and the kids have never done real estate before and they don't want anything to do with this property, they don't want to upkeep it because they got to spend the money to upkeep it. They don't want to deal with the tenants because that was never a thing that they wanted to do in life. That's where you come in as a real estate investor and you solve the problem of them going through a certain issue. Maybe there's I know in a case that I had, there was 5 people, and you don't want to going into business with 5 of your brothers and sisters, right? So that's really why whenever there's a hardship, that is where you as a real estate investor can come in and be the solution to the problem, because we get paid if we can solve the problem, right? So title escrow officers, if you get in with a good title escrow officer, they can feed you a lot of leads. Now, what is the one underlining thing about all of these different types of leads is it's building relationships at the end of the day. So I don't believe that it's really about the house itself. I believe, yes, does the numbers need to work? Absolutely. But where you get the deals and where you really succeed in this whole thing is building relationships. That's why going to local RIA meetings is good. I've actually been to a couple here where I live, and I'm not really impressed, to be honest with you. I haven't found one that I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm coming every single week, or I'm coming on a monthly basis. I've been to maybe I would say at least 5 to 10, 8, somewhere around there. A lot of RIA meetings I've been to, a lot of local events, and I just haven't found that one that I'm like, that's it. So that's kind of why I'm starting to build this community, is so I can have that local, but it's not really local, but it's online, where we could talk about real estate, and we all can bring experiences together. Now this is kind of where we stopped, right? So we stopped at the financial and wealth advisors. I met a financial advisor that I still talk to this day. I can't remember. I was trying to figure out what it was called. I just can't remember that. It's where you go and pay for a membership, and if you guys know it, let me know. I just can't remember the name of it, but they do a lot of referrals, and you go in and it's a speaking thing, and it starts with a B, I think. I can't think of it. So I met him. He knows a lot of people that have a lot of money, and those are good for private money lenders, right? That's where you can find people who have money. Now, I will say, what I have learned in the last year, just in the last year alone, that there are companies out there that will raise private capital for you, but it has to be a certain amount of private capital, meaning it's for the big syndicators. There are just consulting companies that will pay money that you pay a fee to, and they raise $2-3 million. They raise $5 million. They raise $10 million because these people come in and they put their money with them, and they ask them if they want to invest and what type of return they want on their money. So um, to find these people, it's all about networking. It's all about getting in the right room. Sometimes what I've learned is that it's not necessarily the free rooms that you're going to find these. You're going to find these in the paid rooms, the paid average, where you pay $100, you pay $200. I know that if you know me, I can be really cheap, but when it comes to getting in the right rooms, you got to pay to play. All right. So direct to lender, I've known a lender for 7 years, and he has sent me a couple deals in the past. So I that particular lender also bought one of my fix and flips a long time ago, and I'm using him right now for the refinance. So building a relationship with somebody, I've known him since the very beginning. So for 7, 8 years now, he's purchased a property from me. Um, he's just his son now is working for him, and his son is 19, and he's just like the most energetic person, and I love it. I love seeing a young entrepreneur just kind of take control, and like he's really good at what he does. He gets back to me. There's a lot of lenders out there that they do not get back to you. So direct to lender is he said if he has anyone in Texas, I'm licensed in Texas. So he says if there's anyone in Texas that he will send them my way. So even if it's just maybe a referral from an agent to do agent work, that's always a great source right there as well. So closer. Now typically this has to do with the actual cold calling itself. So you have someone who, maybe you have an overseas company that does your cold calling for you. So maybe they're doing like 100 to 200 leads, and they're cold calling the leads for you, but then you come in and you're the closer, or you have someone that closes, because you need this on your team. You need to be able to close the deal. And this is one of my favorite parts, is the closing part of it. I love to close the deal. I love to negotiate. If you know me, even right before this live stream, I was watching, I watch court trials, not for the drama aspect of it, not because someone killed somebody. It's not even like that, because to be honest with you, it's so crazy that someone would even get to that level. For me, what I'm watching for. This is a really good nugget for you guys. When I watch court trials, witness testimonials, like really dry stuff, my brother always jokes around with me. He's like, that is I don't know why you watch this stuff. And I'm like, because it's the most fascinating thing to me is human behavior. If I say something, how is that person going to react to me? How do I know how that person is going to react to me? And the person who's typically asking the questions is the person who is going to be able to control the conversation. So if you notice in a court trial, that Maria's watching me. If you notice in a court trial, you will know that the person who is a witness is the one answering the question. So the attorney is the one that is in control of the situation. So really, when I'm watching the court trials, it's really about who controls the conversation and how that person reacts to that whole situation, right? So that is the reason why I like court trials, is mainly because of the negotiations. Attorneys are one of the best negotiations out there. So you need someone that's on your team that can close out deals. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know why I'm not getting any deals. And a lot of the time it's because you don't have a closer to close them out. All right. So usually, typically, I have an appointment setter to set them, and then you close them out on the back end. The another thing is to partner with somebody. Maybe you go out and find a deal and somebody has the money and you guys partner and you have roles. Maybe you're not really good at talking to people or you get nervous talking to people, and then you have somebody that partners with you that where they do all the front end work and then you maybe find the money. But in this business, you really do have to build relationships and be willing to talk to people. There is one that I did not put on. Okay, I did put it on here, just making sure. Website and SEO. Now, this one I'm not a huge fan of when you first get started because I don't think you really need a website. A lot of the time when you're first getting started, you don't necessarily have the funds for a website, because to start a website and do all the SEO work for it, and I mean, that's going to cost you at least minimum of $500 a month for just SEO work to funnel the leads to your website. What I found and what I am doing now is social media marketing and posting every single day. I will be switching up a little bit of my marketing probably about next week, but every single day I'm producing at least one video that is a reel. At least one reel, and I would like to do one post, but beggars can't be choosers. I do also run a full business, so that does hinder a little bit of my ability. But there's no excuses at the end of the day. Social media, you can find a lot of great deals out there, and a lot of, you can, once you advertise yourself as a real estate investor, you can then in turn help someone out. Maybe they know somebody who's going through a pre-foreclosure. So do I agree with the having a website and SEO right off the bat? No, but if you're maybe a seasoned investor, that might work for you. But putting all that money up front, you probably won't see a return. I would suggest, if you're going to put the money in, to put it into marketing, such as social media marketing, or cold calling would be my second one, would be making sure that you have someone constantly cold calling for you. We're going to go through some of the lead list of what I will be doing in come May for leads, cold calling leads. We'll be getting back into it. I know Maria's on this call who is helping me. So I have some big goals in May. I leave for a trip May 30th, so I want to make sure that I hit some goals before I leave. So there's going to be a big push. Hope you guys are ready. So becoming a connector, this is where I think I'm at right now, to be honest. I believe that I am a connector of, okay, somebody was like, okay, I have $20,000. Okay, let me connect you with a deal that I have, or I have a lead, let me connect you and put the pieces together, right? How do you market yourself where you're the connector of everything? So that's one that I do like, is to be able to build relationships and connect. Referrals are always the best. Referrals are the best way to go when it comes to any type of real estate. Is the best. If you can get referrals, they're free. You already have a leg up in talking to them. You already have a leg up talking to them. And so you already start out in a good positive note when it comes to referrals. So referrals, you can never go wrong. I used to tell people that I'm which was true, part of a community where we do real estate investing. And currently in the community, we have 5 deals going on. And so when I talked about the 5 deals, I knew people who had deals going on. And then once I kind of had the credibility of the community, people would like to work with you on certain things. So putting yourself as a real estate investor is extremely important, and start marketing yourself as a real estate investor is extremely important, especially when you're first getting started. Bird dog. I never understood exactly why people want to be bird dogs, to be honest, because it's kind of like one below a wholesaler. Bird dogs are more like the boots on the ground type of person that kind of knows everything that's going on. There's a reel that I just dropped today about a groundhog. It's because this guy knew all the deals that were going on, but somehow he wasn't necessarily in the deals himself, which I kind of find a little bit weird, to be honest with you, when you kind of have your eye on everything, but you're really not getting paid quite as much as if you were a wholesaler. You're just getting started, trying to get your feet wet. But to be honest with you, you just need a little bit more knowledge to become a wholesaler, fix and flip, buy and hold. So I kind of touched on this earlier, going to your local RIA meetings. I have been to at least, like I said, five to 10 local RIA meetings. I haven't found one that I like really truly enjoy. So I might be going to more. I might, that's why I kind of started this whole adventure of doing live streaming, because I really just wanted to create a community where we can come together and talk about real estate. And if you guys have questions, obviously, by all means, you can type it in the chat. It says that there's some issues with the chat. So if you guys are having issues, I apologize. That's kind of just how technology is. But you can definitely post any of your questions at any time in the chat. So believe it or not, this last one, second to the last one, is how I got started. Except when they say working for someone, hi Maria. When I got started, I was working for somebody, but I wasn't necessarily getting paid. I didn't get paid for the first 6 months. And so when people say go work for someone, I definitely think that is one of the best things you can do. So I had somebody in a community of real estate investors that I was a part of, and I could just see him. He was frazzled. He had so many deals going on that he didn't have me. He had so many deals going on that he couldn't handle the amount of influx of deals. So I took it upon myself and I was like, hey, I can help you. I don't want to get paid. I just want to learn from you. And I've had a couple people actually reach out to me and say, hey, I just want to learn from you. I don't necessarily have the money. And what I would tell that person is that, hey, let's get a lead list and let's start cold calling leads and bringing in some money, and maybe do a wholesale transaction, or nobody's really taking me up on the offer. So I would get you guys a list and do some cold calling. I don't even mind doing cold calling in front of you guys, or to get you guys scripts and start cold calling. Like, I'm all about the action. I just don't want to sit here on a live stream and not take any action. Like, I love doing cold calling. I know it sounds weird, and I know I'm an anomaly when it comes to cold calling, but I actually do really enjoy cold calling, believe it or not. One of these days you guys might see me in action. I actually typically like when someone sets up the appointment for me. Someone sets it up, then I take the second call and close it out. That's really where my preference is when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I would definitely always cold call as well. So working for someone is offering hey, I'll work for free, but this is kind of what I'm looking for. And I don't think enough people do that. And that's really how I got started in this business. And I always have to go back how I got started. There was no social media. There wasn't I went to a local RIA meeting. I found someone that was having a hard time keeping up with all his deals. And then I started saying, "Hey, what do you need?" I would literally call him up every single day, every day. This is not an exaggeration. I would call him up and I'd say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to a meeting." And I'd be like, "Why did you not invite me?" He's like, "I didn't know you wanted to come." I was like, every single, and I'm sarcastic person if you guys haven't noticed. So like I would say to him, I was like, "Why did you not invite me?" He's like, "I didn't think you wanted to come." And I was like, "No, I want to come to every single meeting that you have. If you have a meeting, I want to be there." So I would get invited to all the meetings and I would show up every single meeting, maybe once a day, twice a day, whatever it took to just know that I was trying to learn and I was trying to get as much knowledge from him as possible. So while he was taking the meeting, I was learning and I was being a sponge in that meeting. So I believe finding someone that is either somebody who's an investor and reach out to them. I did that when I was living in New York. I went to culinary school and I wanted to be a food stylist. And when I wanted to do my own food styling is um, making food ready for camera. So it's like fake food typically. Like I did a food and wine magazine shoot where they had half the food was not really edible, but it looks good in the magazines type of thing. So I messaged like 10 people and like two, I think one actually got back to me and I worked for her for free and I was able to put that on my resume. So when I moved to Colorado, I actually had I was kind of already a step above a couple people. So the food stylist then hired me and I was getting paid like $250, $300 a day as an assistant for the food styling. So even though, yeah, you're going to be working for free up front, you're learning so many things you can take, and they're so invaluable because it just helps you learn and grow. And so that's really, I worked for this guy for probably 6 months before I even got one paycheck. And the paycheck didn't even come from him, it was from the deals or from us. I became an agent, so maybe I got a deal that way, but I never really got a paycheck per se. I would I would actually, it got to the point where we actually started partnering on deals. And now I became a real estate investor by partnering. And he taught me so much until he was the mentor. I kind of started to know more than him. And so that's kind of what happened, is that I grew out of that partnership and I moved on to bigger and better things. So that's kind of how I started, was working for someone, learning everything that I could. I became a real estate agent, but my broker was also an investor friendly broker as well back in California. So, um, and then the last thing is the social media marketing. I think that is an invaluable tool. And I wish 7 years ago we had social media like we do today. Social media is free. You can post 5 times a day if you want to. That's what Grant Cardone always says, right? You could post as many times as you want to. So social media is a great part of real estate. If you can show maybe your deals or educate somebody on exactly how to get started, or maybe what you're looking for. Hey, I'm looking for people who maybe they're going through some type of situation and they can reach out to you. So social media is a great tool now if you use it for the stuff it's supposed to be used for. I use it for business, strictly business. My Claire Ann investor page, I know maybe it's a little personal, but to me it's still a business page. I don't really post a whole lot of personal stuff on there, like my family and stuff. So it's to me it's a personal, it's a business page where I'm posting about real estate, right? And so by doing that, you get everything. You get people who maybe, hey, I got $20,000, $30,000 I want to invest on your next deal, or I got um, a lead here. There's so much that can happen from social media. That's why I love social media in that capacity, is that there's all it's everything, everybody's at your fingertips. So for that's all the lead generation. I did 20. There's more, obviously, but I just narrowed it down to 20 different ways to lead generate. And the reason why I picked these, a lot of it is relationship building at the end of the day. This whole business is a relationship building business. I built my entire company off of relationships. So that is really what I believe to be still holds true to this day, even in this crazy social media world that we have. At the end of the day, real estate, I believe, will always be a relationship business. All right. I have my trusty notes on me today. Not that I did not have them yesterday. So we did a recap. Okay, so what I want to do is the last 15 minutes, maybe less. I want to go through this cold calling. I think a lot of people can get caught up with getting discouraged when you cold call because you get a lot of no's, right? Um, just because I run this whole broadcast, that doesn't mean I'm immune to the no's. I still get no's. If I were to call 50 leads tomorrow, there's still going to be probably 2/3 of those leads are going to tell me no. And the other third is going to say, maybe think about it and kind of need some little bit more information. So just because you go out there and cold call and you do the best you can, it's really a numbers game at the end of it. And I said at the very beginning of this, what you lack in skill set, you have to make up in numbers. So if you're brand new in this business trying to cold call, I said coleslaw. I was about to say cold slaw. If you go out and cold call, say you cold call, let's just pick a number. Let's hope. Okay. This isn't. Okay, well, I'm just going to say it then. Oh, here we go. Now you want to work. I see you. Okay, we're not going to mess with technology today. It doesn't like us. But say if I were to go cold call 100 leads, I do that tomorrow. Some of them, first of all, some of them are not going to answer. So maybe I text message them something. The second thing is that, okay, if I call 100, maybe the first 50 or maybe maybe 50 are going to say no. So right off the top, it's going to be chopped in half. And then from 50, 25 are going to say, oh, maybe. And then maybe you close one or two out of that 100 leads that you called, right? So maybe you go over to the seller's house and you found out that it's really not a deal. So that's why a lot of people get discouraged with the cold calling, is because you go through so many people that tell you no. But when I went business to business selling makeup out of the trunk of my car, the biggest thing I would say that I learned out of sales by getting 100 no's a day is that they're not saying no to you personally. I think a lot of people take it as not a personal attack by any means, but maybe that person doesn't. When somebody says no, you think that means that they personally don't like you, and that's really not the case. The case is that they just don't want to sell their house, or they just don't want. It's not like, oh no, they hate you. That's not what this is. It's just that you're not the fit for them at this time. Maybe in 6 months they want to sell their house, and you always leave it on a good note saying like, hey, in 6 months, if you do decide to sell, here's my number. my name and number, and that's where you can find me if you do want to sell the house. So it's not necessarily no, they don't like you, and the fact that they don't like you personally and your personality. And I think a lot of people that get that misconstrued with that they just are not ready to sell their property or they don't want to. All right. So you move on to the next person. And then I've seen a lot of people get stuck on this one deal and they're trying to make this deal work, when instead of trying to making this one deal work, they could have gone out and had 10 to 15 more deals instead of sitting there trying to make this one seller want to sell their property to them. So when it comes to cold calling, it's really about the consistency factor of it. That's why a lot of people hire an overseas company, because they're good with the consistency factor of it. A lot of us get something happens and whatnot when somebody's job overseas typically is to sit there for 4 to 8 hours just calling. And a lot of us, for me, 8 hours, I can't sit in front of the phone for 8 hours because I get other phone calls like contractor, cleaner, even on Sundays. This past Sunday, I had my contractor and cleaner were working this past Sunday. So I still got people working. So I just got to I'm the one who gets the phone call. Claire, we need more money. Claire, there's an issue. Like today, there's a key that was missing, and the contractor drove me nuts for the last almost 4 weeks. I'm glad that we're through that. But the next project, I'm going to go through the same thing with a contractor. I'm sure of it. So yeah. So that's kind of where this whole lead generation. Now, what works? All of it works at the end of the day. Okay. What doesn't work is for you to not do anything. That's really the only difference. The difference is that you either go and call 100 leads or you go and build relationships, but all of it works. What doesn't work is nothing. Like if you sit there and do nothing, it's not going to work for you. So that's, in my belief, I've seen a lot of people like, well, I don't know how to get started. I'm like, you need to fill your pipeline. Your pipeline is your lead. So my goal, Maria, I know if you're on here, I sent you a message today. My goal for May of 2023, I'm going to put this on here. So I'm held accountable. So it's on the internet that my goal for May 2023 is that I know I said 5 deals, and that kind of like, that seems like a lot, but I'm going to say it. But you got to believe it. If you don't believe that you're going to get 5 deals, it's not going to happen. So I want to do 5 wholesale deals. It doesn't have to be necessarily wholesale. It could be either a creative financing deal, maybe 1 buy and hold where it's creative financing. Maybe it's 1 BRRRR method. Maybe it's 3. But it's 5 deals total, meaning that maybe we do 3 wholesales and 1 creative and 1 BRRRR. I don't know. Or maybe we do 5 wholesales and do it that way. Or maybe, the goal is 5. May 2023. I hope you're ready. On Thursday, I go get some leads from a property management. Maria. Once you come back from your mini vacation, we definitely need to have a meeting. But Maria is basically my right hand. So she helps me. I got a question here. Hello. How do you put is there a way to put wait, did I do that correctly? I'm sorry, guys. Look you can. I can put the chat on here. I figured it out. Hello. Sorry, my cat. You might see Bella every so often. So this is Bella. She's a crazy person. Hello. What's your thoughts or strategies on increasing travel bookings on various platforms to increase more revenue with short-term rentals? We list on multiple platforms and bookings are slow. So Chad and Melissa, that is a Airbnb question. Um, so Airbnb has a couple different things that are happening, right? So obviously it depends. I don't know where exactly your Airbnb is. There are slow seasons for certain markets right now in Texas, where I'm at. We're in high season. So high season is typically from March, April, May, June, July, and then August it starts slow when people go back to school. So typically right now is good travel season. So um if it's slow, that means number one, your prices are too high. But what my mom works um a lot in my business, and she knows my business. I wouldn't say better than me, but she knows it pretty well because she sees all the numbers. A lot of it has to do with the cleaning costs. Believe it or not, people don't want to pay an absorbent amount of cleaning fee. So a lot of people. Um, so for instance, on one of my I think I had a 2 bedroom, and the cost of cleaning was almost like 150. And the moment that I decreased the cost and I had to go renegotiate it with my cleaner to make sure that the cost of the cleaning fee was at a decent amount. So I had to cut it in half I had to say, hey, I can only pay out $75. You got to make it work. And I don't know how we're going to do it. Maybe we pull back somewhere else, but I can't pay $150 for a 2 bedroom. People are just not going to pay that. So some of it has to do with your cleaning costs. A lot of it has to do with how much you are charging per night. A lot of it has to do with the saturation of the market of where you're at. Where I'm at in Texas, they don't do permits, so it's heavily saturated. The places where they do permits, like Austin and Dallas, they they are less saturated in that aspect because they have to go through a whole permitting process. So it really just depends on where you are. It also has to do with a lot. I just don't know the situation, so I can't speak on your specific situation. It also has a lot to do with maybe what your pictures look like. Do you have professional photographers? Is the decor nice? Like, there's so many different factors of why it's not moving. I will say the biggest thing for me when it came to Airbnb is the price. At the end of the day, it's about the price. And what I know is if you change one number, so for instance, on your calendar, Airbnb likes to know that you're on their website constantly. So say your price is $150, maybe you change it to 149 and you refresh it and it will push it to the top. So that is one secret that I do in order to make sure that I'm booked. Typically I run at a 90% occupancy, probably more. Right now I would say 80%, 80, 85% of my bookings right now are all on monthly bookings right now. So I do like when they're on monthly bookings because I don't got to worry about the day-to-day stuff. And everyone is lowering their prices. Yeah, it's the competition then at the end of the day. They're saying they're in the Smoky Mountains. I just know there was a lot of people at one point. It was a feeding frenzy in the Smoky Mountains, and everybody wanted to be in the Smoky Mountains. Right now, it's probably a little bit low season right before you hit the peak of summertime. So you kind of have to hold out until summertime, I think, comes around. But yeah, Smoky Mountains is heavily competition over there. I definitely know that. They were way overbidding on back at like 2 years ago. They were going over 100,000 in just to buy something. They were going over 100,000 in just the asking price for a Smoky Mountain. Because I know my business partner tried to buy one. He's like, I'm not paying $100,000 in cash over asking for a cabin. and they were using a lot of their rental revenue to purchase property. And that's something we can go through later on, to run the numbers for an Airbnb. Um, it's not that I'm trying to get out of Airbnb, I'm just trying to diversify. I think having some long-term tenants that I just collect rent from, having like Airbnbs. Airbnbs is still kind of active income, in my opinion. I like more passive income, but to each their own. So um, maybe you need to see if you can get a long-term tenant in there, or maybe find another strategy that might work for you in that aspect and kind of go a different route. If you feel like you can get a longer term tenant in there, or maybe you rent it out by the rooms, maybe you do sober living. I just don't, if it's not working, or do you sell it? You know, there's a couple different options out there. I just know the Smoky Mountains is a very competitive market, and you are racing to the bottom to get anything. I would say this: you want to be booked more. Would rather lower your prices to be booked than not to be booked. But you definitely need a minimum on there, right? You need like a 2 to 3 day minimum to make it worth it for the cleaning. So I definitely have seen a lot of people with the Smoky Mountains. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. I can't believe we've hit an hour. It felt like it went by super fast. I really do enjoy these live. So I will be back here every Monday and Tuesday. This is like a little hangout session for me, but we're learning and we're making sure that you get value out of this. A lot of you guys are coming from the Facebook group. So if you haven't, you can join the free Facebook group. The link is in the description. If you want to hop on a one-on-one call with me, that link is also in the description. It ties into my schedule so I can make sure that I am available. I have it where it ties into all of my calendar. So I love Google. Google is amazing. So if you guys want to have a chat, you can definitely do that. Bring your questions. Next week, we can either talk about raising private capital, scripts. I think I want to do raising private capital, since that is the one thing that people like on my Instagram, is when I talk about private capital, because I know it can be daunting when you don't know how to start and you don't have the money. So those are kind of go hand in hand. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and we will see you guys here on Monday. Bye.